what we try to do in terms of conservation is try to capture buildings from different eras, representative buildings, and we do so not just within URA, but we also work with different stakeholders and heritage experts, as well as the community, to understand what are the buildings that are important to people. And we also look at, over years, there have been, various awards that are given to buildings, say, President's Design Award, Singapore Institute of Architects Design Award, etc., to also pick out strong examples of design. But beyond design, it's also about how people resonate with the buildings. So we also try to understand what is important to different stakeholder groups, and which is why we collaborate with the National Heritage Board as well to understand this part of it and secure inputs. And for sure, urban heritage can be done in different ways. It's not always that preserving the whole building is the only avenue. There can be other avenues as well to remember the use of the site, to remember what was there, whether it is through recalling the previous building on the site in the new building, or doing heritage storyboards, or documenting the building. There are different possibilities as well. And as a young nation, we do want to make sure we are, in a way, keeping some of these important buildings in our nation building, which is why the Golden Mile complex was conserved. But there will be other buildings like the Jurong Town Hall building, which is also very important, that has been conserved. There's other buildings that are also important as part of our national kind of identity and heritage that we also want to keep. So it's a continuous process. As time moves forward, we must look back on the recent past to make sure we still are keeping in sight what are the recent buildings that are emerging as important, both in terms of their heritage value to the community and also in terms of the quality of design. And it has to be a continuous process. Thanks.
Thank you, Yu-Ning.
And perhaps to add to what Yu-Ning shared, I would say for the ongoing present heritage, it really starts from this form of conversation. Again, I think what is quite critical in terms of how we assess values, and that's what Yu-Ning highlighted. I'm personally quite encouraged by the shifts in terms of the President Design Award, just to use that as an example. Because I think last few years, it was updated to measure impact, not just in terms of qualities of design, aesthetics outlook, but there's a strong social and larger sustainable component within it. And I think perhaps the way for us to move forward to understand the heritage is to establish our own sense of impact as a society. And Golden Mile Complex is special. Of course, as an architect, it's also a project from DP's founders. It has that added dimension and that quality. But very important, what it also signifies is the zeitgeist, is that spirit of the time, nation building, and the association with the arts movement during that period of time, the music, fashion, the whole society, the psyche. I think this a whole enriched, very complex but kind of exciting point of impact that we can again establish as a society and nation moving forward.
Thank you so much. And this is an interesting point because when we think about conservation, we tend to take a retrospective approach. We understand backwards. These are the buildings that meant something to a generation that came before us. And just as a very quick question, at this point, how would you identify the zeitgeist? What are some of the buildings, the spaces we have that reflect the current zeitgeist, if we could identify that at this point?
Yu-Ning, I answer first.
Go ahead.
I just realized there's a point I would really like to lobby. And I've got Dr. Chong here, the right person. I think in terms of at least the part with regards to our city, and especially the story of Singapore, I think one of our most successful, not just in terms of urban architecture and social kind of infrastructure, must be and will be our public housing. And it is integral to almost every aspects of every Singaporean's life. I grew up from a public housing estate landscape, and these are very special space. And what is almost quite interesting and irony that how our public housing started as very efficient machine just to house our population has over the time grown and emotionally connect many generations of our people. And this idea of time, you cannot buy and manufacture. And I think if you want to talk about an aspects of that, I do think at every injection of new estate, we must keep fabrics of the old. So that I think this is also Jane Jacob's, like one of 4 factors of exuberant diversity, that the importance of the historical and the heritage and the fabric in terms of space and form is critical in the way we also further celebrate and embrace diversity.